the minerals basic package, we can very quickly and easily assess the current status of our mineral holdings, the production, and future development that may occur in the near term. On my map, I have populated an example of a mineral ownership position. I've done this via loading in an API number. This can also be done via shapefile. This can also be replicated for anywhere within North America. I can very quickly turn on and get a sense of all active rigs and frac crews running across the area in which I own minerals. I can also then go in and filter down around my mineral ownership footprint to see which rigs and frac crews might be on my current mineral holdings. With that, it will also filter down the wells and show me which wells I have ownership in, who those operators are, and what the current production profile looks like for those particular interests that I have. With that, I will then be able to go in and take a look at future development, permits, and get a sense of cycle times on when I can expect that production to actually come online. So here I have filtered down. You can see I have a rig running out in East Texas, a frac crew running in kind of the Gulf Coast Eagle Ford area. I have several rigs and a frac crew running out in the Delaware Basin on my minerals there. I can see by operator, size by last month's BOE, where the majority of the production is coming from, Kinder Morgan, followed by Oxy, Pioneer, Devon, and BKV. I can also see the status of those wells. I have 7,200 plus producing wells. More importantly, I have 298 completed wells that are not yet on production, 169 wells that have been drilled but not yet completed, another 102 wells that are DUCs, so recently been drilled, not yet completed, and then several inactive wells. I can also see which permits have been filed on the acreage going forward. 34 permits by Pioneer, 27 by Kinder Morgan, and 22 by Devon. Again, on a large scale, I can look at the active rigs, see who's running rigs and which counties those are in. 2 rigs by Rockcliffe over in Panola County, 1 rig by BTA in Reeves County, 1 by Devon and Loving, 1 by Magnolia in Washington County, and so on and so forth. I can also look at the same thing on those frac crews. Again, I can see 2 Devon frac crews in Loving County, 1 by LRR, Pecos Valley in Burleson, and 1 by Magnolia in Washington County. I can also see where pad development has taken place recently. Over here again by operator, I can see in the last few months, where and who are creating new pads, which would be an indicator when permits will actually be coming to be drilled. Now I can take a deeper dive on this into one particular area, but first, before I do that, I do want to look at my overall production profile for these wells. I want to right now group these by operator, although I could come in here and group these by well name, state and county, lots of different options by individual lease number or lease name as well. But I can get a quick sense of what that production profile through time has looked like on my minerals, and what it looks like here in the near short term if I zoom in slightly. I can see now I am seeing a fairly good decline in that overall production. Now if I go back, I can take a closer look at that Delaware Basin area where I see there's a lot of current activity taking place. You can see which units those rigs are running on. I will change my layers here real quick. Just so I can make sure I'm seeing those frac crews and rigs on top. So yeah, I can see those frac crews, 2 of them down here. See a drilling rig here, a couple of drilling rigs there, one up to the north, and one over here to the west as well on that. Again, I can see who those rigs are being run by and who those two frac crews are being run by on that. I can select in and see which unit those are currently operating on. If I want to get a sense now for those wells, for instance, those two wells being fracked by Devon, or maybe these wells are being drilled, on when those will actually come on production, I can do that. First, I'm going to turn on my wells, my laterals. I want to get a little larger area of investigation and not necessarily look at just these units, but look at what these operators have been doing, kind of the general area. So I'm going to clear out that original filter that I had, do a new geospatial filter around my units, but do it slightly larger, look within 2 miles of these units. So I can bring in some more data points for this analysis. Now I've done that, I come over and look at my cycle times. So I see just historically what completions have looked like and just overall magnitude across the area. This can give me kind of high level sense of what to expect going forward. So I see there was, big ramp up in completions from 2018 through 2020. The COVID slowdown. We see completions have started ramping up again in terms of new wells coming online. And so I can, looking at this, I would expect to continue to see this trend at least going forward over the near term. Look at those cycle times, permit to spud by different operators out here. And also look at that spud to completion in days for different operators. I can filter this down to one particular operator. Again, if I was looking at just Devon, and I wanted to get a sense of what Devon is doing in terms of their cycle times for those wells, I'll filter down just Devon here. We'll take a look at those cycle times. So we see Devon, permit to spud, typically takes about 97 days. Spud to completion, about 493 days. And then that soak time, so the time completions are finished, to actually goes on first production, looking at about 40 days on those. So now going back, again, I can look at where those frac crews are running, where those rigs are running, and make some high level assumptions on when I can expect to have production coming online. Now from there, I can also use the same methodology in looking for new acquisition opportunities. If I come back, I clear out some of those filters I had put on my map. I want to turn my wells and laterals off. If I see that this is a hot area and I want to figure out who maybe I should be targeting to buy minerals under, again, I can look at the total permits, see who has the most permits running, the EOG, Devon, and Oxy. I can turn those permits on my map, see where those are located. I can do the same thing with the frac crews and the active rigs, see who's running the most rigs and the most frac crews for a particular area. And who I might want to target as whoever is being the most active will generally have the most upside value in terms of buying minerals. So again, I can look at EOG and Devon for both frac crews and these rigs. And again, everything on the map is colored by those operators. So we also have Oxy on there. So go ahead and add Oxy into this. So on a map, again, I can see where those different frac crews and rigs are running by these different operators. I can see there's a really hot area here, kind of in Loving County for these operators. Also up here in Lee County and in Eddy County. So with that, Again, I can hone in and start doing a little bit of research on these hot areas where I see lots of permits, lots of rig and frac activity, and use this as a way to start targeting further mineral acquisitions.